I welcome parts of this bill, which has the great potential to improve the planning system, but I do have some concerns that I hope the Secretary of State and Ministers will address either today or during the passage of this bill. Firstly, the positives of the bill, which I'll rattle through very quickly. Increased powers for councils to bring vacant units back into use and greater powers to encourage positive regeneration across the country. Streamlining and extending the temporary regime for outdoor seating to promote the cafe culture that has been beneficial to local businesses and communities across Bexley and the country. Extending enforcement powers and doubling fees for retrospective planning so that local councils can crack down on dodgy developers and better protect their neighbours. Reforms to the infrastructure levy so that developers pay more of their profits to support community infrastructure required to support new homes and to allow councils to differ the rates of the levy to different areas that do not want more development. And the strengthening of local plans so local residents have a greater say in the future of their areas, and so that development can be targeted to use old brownfield sites, as we've heard already from the member from Bromley, and to protect the environment. This is one of the major issues that councils in Greater London have faced with the Mayor of London's London Plan, alongside the dramatic increase in housing targets and the policies that are simply not appropriate for Greater London areas such as Bexley. Residents across Old Bexley and Sidcup regularly tell me that they do not want any more flats, and I hope that this bill will help local people have a greater say over their future. To this extent, I would appreciate if the Secretary of State can clarify how he sees the relationship between the London Plan and future local plans changing, given the existing hierarchy of planning policy. Currently, in places such as Bexley and Bromley, we have a democratic deficit, where local people did not vote for a Labour Mayor of London, but still they stuck with his policies. Levelling up the country must not forget areas in the southeast, such as Bexley, which does not have the infrastructure of inner London, but is seeing its population dramatically increase and never gets its fair share of funding, whether that's grant funding or health spending per head. The government would be well advised to relook carefully at how taxpayers' money from central government is allocated in London. How much of it is wasted and swallowed up by City Hall, when money could be sent directly to local councils who can target its use better, as we have seen with business grants during the pandemic. And here lies one of my main concerns that I hope ministers will put appropriate protections in place to stop London's problems being replicated across the country. For every Ben Houchen and Andy Street, there is a Sadiq Khan. A Sadiq Khan that has destroyed borough-based policing and overseen record levels of crime. A Sadiq Khan that has nearly bankrupted TfL and overseen record number of strikes. A Sadiq Khan who has increased his share of council tax by 8.8% this year and is planning to introduce a stealth tax on drivers in Greater London of around £4,500 a year during a cost-of-living crisis. Not even the champagne socialists can afford this bill, Madam Deputy Speaker. There we go. So whilst there is an admiral and a key government policy to level up this country, I implore the Secretary of State and Ministers to use their power to ensure that devolution does not equal more civil servants, more local taxes, more nanny state and more Sadiq Khans. Thank you, Madam Speaker.